This weekend, the Toyo Tyres MSA British Rallycross Championship revisits Croft. It was the scene of high drama last time out. What will be in store today? We come here on the back of a double-header at Pembroke, where Ollie O'Donovan was very much the man to beat. He's now won 3 rounds of the championship back-to-back. He leads the title race, and it's between him and Mark Higgins. The pair put in some great driving at Pembroke. Kevin Proctor, though, was in the wars. For Ollie O'Donovan, 3 wins on the bounce. He leads Mark Higgins with 3rd, Julian Godfrey. Steve Hill is 4th ahead of Roger Thomas, and Mad Mark is 6th.
Mark Higgins, one of the first circuits you've come to where you're returning to a circuit this year. That must really help you here at Croft Circuit this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, albeit the conditions are very, very different, but yeah, we've got an idea of how it's running here, and we learned quite a bit last time, so we know how important it is to get off the line here, because there's no joker lap, obviously.
And super close finish with you and Ollie here in round 3.
Yeah, maybe a bit too close, so yeah, we could do with getting some wins. Ollie's had a really good run now the last 3, so he's had a good step in the championship, and it's a really tight championship, which is fantastic for all of us, but we could do some good points here.
Ollie O'Donovan, you come in leading the MSA British Rallycross Championship, a hat-trick of victories, first here at Croft and then a double-header at Pembroke. You must be feeling confident ahead of this weekend.
Oh, we're feeling good, Hal, but I mean, we can't go far away from the game plan. Stay on the podium, take a nice and steady run today, and you know, if we get a bit of luck in the final like we did in the last 2 events, of course we're going to take that. But I think we'll just try and be happy to stay on the podium.
First race of Q1 underway. Julian Godfrey on pole position. It's a very wet road. Total contrast from what the teams had here back for the first visit of the championship to Croft, and Ollie O'Donovan here paddles his way through the spray down towards Clairvaux Corner. Even with 4-wheel drive, traction is at a premium, and visibility is going to be so crucial here. If you're out front, you're going to be fine, but in the middle of the pack, if you're behind anybody, as soon as you get onto the loose like now, all of that mud will be in your face and you're going to struggle. Julian Godfrey then has the best view of all. This is O'Donovan's view. Last lap, Julian Godfrey is looking as though this is going to be a race win. The Mitsubishi blasts its way over the timing line. Julian Godfrey wins race 1 for the Supercars. Supercars race 2 is go. Good start by Mark Higgins. He blasts away. This is Steve Hill's view as the cars sprint down towards Clairvaux Corner. So Higgins it is that leads the way. Roger Thomas gets up the inside of the Mitsubishi. They lean on each other. Steve Hill gets forced out wide. He's still being lent on. And eventually the Mitsubishi has to give way to a sliding Welshman. Roger Thomas goes through. There is Liam Manning at the back in the Subaru Impreza. Engine dramas rather stymied him at Pembroke, but he's getting better here on board with Steve Hill. Now, the rain is worsening. The road is getting more chewed up on the infield, and look at the mud now in the face of Steve Hill. Mark Higgins leads the way, and he's got the best seat in the house now. He can see where he's going when he's got Kevin Proctor behind him. Proctor knows his way around here better than most. He could probably drive it with his eyes shut. Multiple British Rally champion Mark Higgins leads the pack then. Across the loose they come. This is Higgins' view. Down to Clairvaux. Proctor crawling all over him though now. This is going to be a really fierce fight between the two. Kev Larev looking for a way past him. Mark Higgins hugs the line all the way round Hawthorne, now towards the chicane. Through the right, through the left, back onto the loose here. There's Roger Thomas, who was involved in dramas at the start. Whoops! Big slide and a spin going to the chicane. Higgins it is, coping with the conditions. Kevin Proctor though carrying more speed down towards the hairpin. He's going to get the undercut here. Yes, because Higgins goes wide. The Albatech car is out wide, and so past him goes Kevin Proctor into the lead of the race. And now look at the problems that Higgins faces. Onto the last lap, and Higgins has to drop back because he cannot run close enough to Proctor. He just can't see. Down towards Clairvaux. Never mind spray, it's the mud that's the problem. So Kevin Proctor on his return to the championship leads, and that's not going to help Mark Higgins either. Goes way wide at Hawthorne, catches the big slide. Well, thankfully now he can at least see a little bit more, but he's about to hit the loose once again and onto the mud. Kevin Proctor in traffic, would you believe? He puts a lap there on Roger Thomas, gets ahead of the Welsh Wizard, and so Kevin Proctor, who lives a stone's throw away from Croft, very much one of the local heroes, heads now up towards the timing line. Is he going to go quicker? than Julian Godfrey out of the first race? The answer is yes, he does. Kevin Proctor quickest in Q1. Julian Godfrey second, Mark Higgins third fastest ahead of Ollie O'Donovan, Steve Hill, and then Liam Manning sixth fastest.
You returned to the circuit where you had a monstrous accident in round 3 of the British Rallycross Championship. Completely different conditions today, really difficult Q1.
Yeah, it's got really wet. Practice wasn't so bad, but Q1 got really, really wet. So ended up second quickest. So fairly happy with, still on the front row. And just got to try a bit harder in the second heat.
Probably haven't been full of luck in the last couple of years in the British Rallycross Championship, but your home circuit this weekend and a fantastic drive in Q1.
Yeah, no, the cars, we've done a lot of work at the car. We've been a bit disappointed, as you say, over the last few rounds, but the car's going really well. It suits the wet weather. We've just got to keep going and try and get a good result.
We're ready for Q2 here at Croft as the lights go green. Liam Manning on pole position, Steve Mundy, Roger Thomas alongside, and it's Steve Mundy in this new Ford Fiesta that leads the way. Had mechanical maladies last time out, but he's going to head the pack down towards Clairvaux. Roger Thomas tucked up behind him, and a big tank slapper there for Steve Mundy. He catches the slide. That was a good save. Liam Manning then runs third as the cars sprint towards the chicane. The Subaru with that oh-so distinctive engine note, and this is Liam Manning's view, and it's all going to change in a moment as he hits the loose surface. So Steve Mundy it is, trying to break away. He's made his return to the sport this year with this freshly built Ford Fiesta supercar. Mechanical dramas really did, I'm afraid, trip him up when he was at Croft back in May. And Roger Thomas under attack from Liam Manning, who sort of goes through, but the two cars make contact. Roger Thomas gets the front balance swiped, and so he just attacks Manning, shovels him out of the way. Didn't take kindly to that. Liam Manning off onto the grass, now gets a face full of mud. And the Subaru Impreza are also now with some damage, so that sort of works out as 1-1 really, doesn't it? But I don't think there was anything deliberate in the way that Liam Manning did the attacking. He was just trying to slow the car down on a very slippery surface. Roger Thomas clearly did not agree. So into the chicane they go, and Thomas has got the speed, look, because straight away he is back onto the tail of Steve Mundy. Over the loose they come, down once again towards the hairpin. There is Roger Thomas, brakes, and he's under attack again, and Liam Manning says take that. This time he's turned him around good and proper. This, I fear, could be a Welsh feud that rumbles on for a little bit, because now 2 laps, 2 incidents, in fact possibly 3, because they both had a turn at each other on the first lap. Roger Thomas gets away, Liam Manning sheds bodywork and blasts his way up towards the chicane. Steve Mundy thinking this is all good, and now Roger Thomas self-induced spin off the road at Hawthorne. So Steve Mundy just has to get the car to the finish here. It's the only one that hasn't really had any major dramas, and the Fiesta significantly showing better reliability than we saw earlier on in the season. Liam Manning, though, has got good speed. Look, despite the incidents, he's come right back at him. Up the inside, up the bank, side by side they run, and Liam Manning goes through. Onto the last lap, the Subaru driver picks up the advantage, and that, remember, is after those 2 skirmishes. Now, has Mundy got a problem? I think the answer, sadly, is yes, he has. Manning has got understeer though, and he's off the road at Clairvaux, very wide indeed. He nearly had to pay to get back in, he was so wide there. So he's back on the road, there's lots of arm twirling, and Steve Mundy now tries to make his move up the inside. Subaru versus Ford. It's the Impreza versus the Fiesta, and Steve Mundy is about to discover just how muddy the infield is, because Liam Manning now, who for the first time in the race can see clearly, is about to spray Steve Mundy behind him. Wipers working overtime. When the wipers are on, the water jets work as well. Down towards the hairpin comes Liam Manning. Is it going to be a race win? That tarmac where the mud lies on it, very treacherous indeed, but Liam Manning is going to be a race winner. Good drive by him this, as he comes up now to take the checkered flag, and Liam Manning wins from Steve Mundy. We're ready for the second race in Q2. Kevin Proctor on pole, makes a dreadful start. Good start though by Godfrey, good start by Higgins, good start by O'Donovan. Steve Hill is in the mix as well. This is Mark Higgins' view. He's not going to get the race lead because Julian Godfrey, with his foot nailed to the floor, has the advantage at Clairvaux corner. Ollie O'Donovan tries to get up the inside of Higgins now. Can't do it there. Mark gets forced out wide. O'Donovan also elbowed out by Kevin Proctor. So O'Donovan, the man that's won the last 3 rounds back-to-back, losing places. Higgins and Proctor rub at the chicane, and Mark Higgins goes through then. The Albatec Peugeot picks up a place. Across the loose surface they come. Spectacular action, and here with a busier grid, and these the quicker drivers out of Q1. It is a very fierce fight as Proctor gets sideways, looking for the undercut to try and shoot up the inside of Higgins coming out of the hairpin. Can't do it though. The infield getting ever more cut up. It is virtually a wash at certain places, and Proctor gets himself bogged down. The car slides out, and this is O'Donovan's sort of view. It's a great view of the wiper, but he can't see much, of course, because now that's just smearing the screen. Godfrey goes wide at Clairvaux. Out wide, through the gravel, back on again. Mark Higgins onto his tail now as they come into the chicane. Through the right and through the left, back onto the loose surface. There is Steve Hill, who in turn is getting away from Ollie O'Donovan now. He's got up and past him. And so the Mitsubishi Lancer clearing off from the Ford Focus as Godfrey and Higgins run side by side, oh so nearly into the hairpin. Higgins on the outside is going to get forced out wide, and he can't therefore attack for the race lead. Julian Godfrey, 5 times a British Rallycross champion, leads onto the last lap here. Higgins all over him. Higgins was the winner at Lyndon, remember. Julian Godfrey was the effective winner at Silverstone because the 3 that were ahead of him didn't score points, so he was the driver that took the points in the final there. So Julian Godfrey leads this heat, the Mitsubishi Mirage, with Mark Higgins in that Peugeot tucked up behind him. Higgins second in the championship coming here. O'Donovan is the championship leader, but Godfrey third, needs to score and score well. Now look at the difference in the colours because of the leading car being moderately clean, the one behind virtually brown with all the mud sprayed across it. Look, Godfrey's front immaculate, showering Mark Higgins with all the mud as they come down to the hairpin. Higgins, wipers still working overtime, through the hairpin now, back onto that strip of tarmac, up to the checkered flag. Julian Godfrey is going to win this race, and he's going to be fastest in Q2. Great drive by Julian Godfrey. Time to catch your breath. Julian Godfrey, Mark Higgins and Kevin Proctor, the top 3 at the end of Q2 here at Croft in the MSA British Rallycross Championship.
Ollie, you come here as championship leader after Q2 at Croft. Not been the easiest day for you so far.
No, Hal, we've been a bit unlucky really on heat 1. We've had a little electrical glitch and we didn't find it, and it was questionable whether it was a driver issue or a car issue, you know, but as we progressed through heat 2 it became evidence that we have a gremlin in the wiring loom. It's just told me back on the launch and on the power, and each time I changed the gear she was hesitant, you know, so hopefully we'll get going for Q3.
Liam Manning, you made your British Rallycross Championship debut at Pembrey and struggled, to be fair, a few problems with the car, but here at Croft today, really wet conditions and they're helping out no end.
Yeah, it seems to be going good so far. So far there's not been any major problems. Had a little run-in with Roger, but both all good. I'm really enjoying it. I like this track a lot. Been here a couple of times now, and yeah, I get on with it.
Steve Hill, you come here 4th in the British Rallycross Championship. 2 qualifying races done here, really difficult conditions, and it looks like you haven't managed to quite get on top of them.
No, struggled a bit. We've had a bit of a throttle response problem, and I made some bad starts, so I need to get my act together as well. So there's potential there to go a bit better. I think keep out of trouble and try and get on the front row for the final. That's the key, and then take a few risks after that maybe.
We are ready for Q3. Liam Manning is on the front of the grid here. Roger Thomas for company. Andy Grant on the back row, and a great start by Roger Thomas. He blasts away. Steve Mundy missing from the grid, incidentally. So Roger Thomas here should be the man to beat, and already look, Andy Grant in the ex-Will Gollop, Andrew Jordan Ford Focus, the earlier shape of Focus, goes up into second at the expense of the much-travelled Welshman Liam Manning. The man from Carmarthen then drops back as the cars now thread their way round Hawthorne. The good news for the drivers is that as the day has gone on, the weather has improved a little, so it is less treacherous, there's less standing water, there's less spray being kicked up as well. It's still very slippy, but as across the loose comes Roger Thomas, he's looking good up front. Down he comes then towards the hairpin. Andy Grant, much travelled also, the Devonian, there in second spot, comes under attack from Liam Manning. So Andy Grant, the man from Barnstaple, now powering his way out of the hairpin. Manning right up behind him, but the Subaru can't find a way by. But Roger Thomas, look, gets bogged down, and that means that Andy Grant has a chance to challenge as they head back towards tarmac now. Speed builds, they hit the tarmac down towards Clairvaux through the right-hander, but it is so slippery, you carry too much speed into that corner, you are going to be history. Liam Manning with the back sliding around there on the Subaru, accelerates now into the right at Hawthorne. There's Andy Grant, hard on the brakes, into the chicane, through that right, through that left, and onto the loose once more. Andy Grant, another of the real stalwarts of British Rallycross, chasing after Roger Thomas, who has had a very good season indeed. He was third in the points at Silverstone. Had a really good run also in the first of the 2 Pembrey rounds on our double-header weekend. Got a third there as well, so he's capable of mixing it with the best. And there, as Andy Grant gets sideways, Liam Manning goes very deep down to the hairpin. Both of which will help Roger Thomas on his last lap get away now. There is Andy Grant losing momentum, and past him goes Liam Manning into second in the race. Liam Manning blasts through there, nudging the tyres. Roger Thomas gets it sideways, then the car pendulums its way up towards the right-hander of Hawthorne. Roger Thomas now to the chicane, and Andy Grant has a problem. It was more than just being bogged down. Something mechanical sadly has struck, and so Andy Grant is out of the race as Roger Thomas now comes across the loose once again. Going to be the checkered flag this time for Roger Thomas. Skims the curb up on the inside, accelerates his way towards the line. It's going to be a Welsh 1-2. Roger Thomas ahead of Liam Manning. Checkered flag is ready, and Roger Thomas wins this first race in Q3 for the supercars. Julian Godfrey missing from pole position for this race. He's going to start near to the back by the look of it as we get set, ready to go racing. The last race in Q3 underway. Good start by Kevin Proctor from the outside of the front row. Here is Julian Godfrey up from the back of the grid. Goes to the outside of Mark Higgins, and can he find a way by? Not there, he can't, as they go into Clairvaux. Kevin Proctor then leads the pack. Missing from this, Steve Hill. Also missing from this, Ollie O'Donovan. So Julian Godfrey has got to try and find a way up past Higgins. Higgins needs to do the same to Proctor. Remember, yes, they want to win their respective races, but at the moment, it's about the best time you can possibly do that really is important. And look, Higgins has got problems with the wipers. One of the wiper blades has peeled back on itself, and that is going to do nothing. And of course, Murphy's Law, it is on his side of the car, isn't it? So that's the wiper that he needs the most, and he can't see. He's just nudged the tyres. And Mark Higgins, look at that, the wiper forlornly tickles the screen, but it's not shifting anything, and Mark Higgins cannot see. Can he limp round and just salvage a time and some points? This is what you should be looking at, a clear hole in the windscreen. Julian Godfrey's wiper is doing the job, but Mark Higgins has slowed right down and he just cannot see a thing. So Julian Godfrey chases after Kevin Proctor, and Mark Higgins limps to the end. He's had a lot of bad luck this year, Mark Higgins, and again it happens here. Punctures at Pembrey and a wiper that bends itself back. It's virtually impossible to do when you're driving a car, but somehow it has happened, and Kevin Proctor is on target for the race win. Mark Higgins limping round. There he is. Now that he's dropped away from people, the screen is a little bit better, but all he can do is trundle on and try and salvage something. Doing his best to try and wash the screen, but loosening the belts, leaning across the car, Higgins really is struggling, but manfully battling on to the end. Kevin Proctor across the loose, he's going to win the race, but now we come to times, and Proctor should get the fastest time in Q3 because of course this second race always has the quicker drivers in it. And so by winning it, the odds are he will be fastest in Q3. Bouncing his way across the loose, heading into the hairpin. Checkered flag is going to be readied shortly for Kevin Proctor, with Julian Godfrey chasing on behind him. Kevin Proctor, the man from Northallerton, up through the gears, sprinting his way now back towards the tarmac. Puts a lap on Mark Higgins, still limping on. So one more lap to run for Kevin Proctor. A race win and a fastest time should be his. And granted, he knows the circuit well, but you've got to say that Fiesta in these conditions is absolutely flying. They've had a lot to contend with this year. The Arctic blizzard of Silverstone, rain at Lyndon, glorious sunshine here, and then the dust in May. Hot and sunny conditions at Pembrey, and now a very wet day this late July Sunday here at Croft in North Yorkshire once more. This is Julian Godfrey's view, but Kevin Proctor up front is heading for the race win. Down they come through the hairpin. Now up through the gears. Kevin Proctor on target for victory in this second race in Q3, and with it, it should be the fastest time as he breaks the beam. Yes, it is. Kevin Proctor fastest in Q3. Second over the timing line is Julian Godfrey. And Mark Higgins, with virtually no visibility at all, is going to paddle his way to the line for third place. And again, peering through any gap he can to try and see where he's going. So Kevin Proctor and Julian Godfrey, the two with the top times in Q3 here at Croft.
Steve, you went on to the pre-grid for Q3, but then drove off again. What happened?
I did a second practice launch and I broke the rear diff. Lucky enough, it's the first one we've ever broken. We don't quite know why yet, but we'll obviously look at that. But it's already fixed.
The car's down on the ground, ready for the final. The grids aren't decided yet at the time we're talking, but what are you hoping for grid-wise?
I'm hoping we'll probably still be on second row, but it depends on whether a DNF or a did not start makes a difference.
Mark, a pretty consistent day for you here at Croft, but a few problems in Q3. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, it's been horrendous conditions, as you've seen, so we haven't really had a proper clean run, but the stone came up and knocked the wiper blade off, which is pretty unlucky, to be honest, and we had no vision whatsoever, so we're just lucky to get round and get some points and still be on the front row for the final, which you never know what's going to happen. Kevin's going to be pushing really hard for a win, so we're just going to see what goes on in front of us and try and slot in somewhere and get a good result at the end.
Kevin, a solid day for you. 2 fastest times on your home circuit, front row of the grid for the final. What can you do from there?
Hopefully get to the front and win the final. That's the aim. The weather conditions are suiting us, and that's my plan.
You've led from the front, but you've also overcome Mark in Q1 when you passed him on the loose section. The conditions are playing to your favour a bit here, aren't they?
Yeah, and I know the circuit, so that's a benefit as well, I think. And you know, I'd love to get off the start in the final at the front and just bring it home, but there might be a bit of fighting to try and get to the front. We'll have to wait and see.
We always get great racing out of the Super Nationals and the Super 1600s, and the qualifying races at Croft have been no exception. Tristan Ovenden it is, ahead of Jack Thorne after the 3 qualifying races. Darren Scott third in the points from Paige Ballaby, then local man Guy Corner and Paul Coney 6th. Phil Chicken and Mike Bogue return, they're 9th and 10th. Semi-final 1 underway. Guy Corner from the outside of the front row makes a good start, but the best start comes from Tristan Ovenden. He blasts away. The championship leader has the advantage going down towards the first right-hander of Clairvaux. Slavomir Volok's re-liveried Ford Fiesta accelerates its way out of the right-hander. Track conditions improving all day long. It's much faster now than it has been for the Super Nats for the bulk of the day. Darren Scott across the loose, down towards the hairpin here. That, remember, one of the Super 1600s, but Guy Corner is off the road and has got a problem, seemingly. Guy Corner, the man from Northallerton, out of the race. Glorious noise this Renault Clio makes. For the last time into the chicane goes Tristan Ovenden. Top 4 will go through, remember, Phil Chicken here all over the back of Slavomir Volok. Tristan Ovenden wins semi-final 1. So Tristan Ovenden, Darren Scott, Slavomir Volok and Phil Chicken, the 4 that will qualify. Kirk Twyman, first reserve. Guy Corner, a retirement. Semi-final 2, Jack Thorne on pole, makes a good start. Paige Ballaby alongside and Paul Coney on the outside of the front row, blasts down towards Clairvaux, but up through the gears, Paige Ballaby it is who leads the way. She had a spectacular moment in Q2, but here going nicely. There you've got Jack Thorne behind as the cars now work their way across the loose. Jack Thorne to the inside, tries to elbow a way through, and he does go by. Jack Thorne, Silverstone winner, Pembrey winner, goes ahead, but Paige Ballaby, local driver, aims to fight back. Sideways though out of the hairpin, and Paul Coney almost into the back of her. And a huge cloud of smoke. Now that must be from Jack Thorne's car. Let's have a look. Yes it is. That looks expensive and that looks terminal. Jack Thorne out of the race, out of the day I fear. Paige Ballaby is going to come through to score victory in semi-final 2. Paul Coney second. Paige Ballaby, Paul Coney, Craig Lomax, the top 3. Jack Thorne, a retirement. Mike Bogue, Mike Drasser, non-starters at the end of semi-final 2. The MSA Junior Rallycross Championship always gives good racing, and this weekend we've got a record entry all set for action. After the 3 qualifying races, James Constantine topping the points, although he wasn't fastest in any of the runs. The grid is formed. Tom Constantine is the man on pole position. Marius Solberg Hansen, Patrick O'Donovan at the front. Luke Constantine and Ben Sayer on row 2. Then it is Christiane Havat-Heng and Morgan Root with Eleanor Corner on the back row of the grid. And we will go racing. The lights go to green now. Good start by Patrick O'Donovan. The cars accelerate their way down towards Clairvaux Corner, 4 abreast. Are they all going to make it safely through Clairvaux? Let's see, because there's some desperately late braking going on. There's some contact. Patrick O'Donovan gets turned sideways. There are cars all over the road, and the Constantine family self-destructs. Tom is facing the wrong way. Luke was off the road, and they've all just about survived it, but badly delayed is Tom Constantine. Morgan Root drops to the back of the pack. On board with Patrick O'Donovan then, now coming onto the loose surface, grabs a gear, and it is going to be O'Donovan leading the way. He is the one with the best seat in the house. He's got the good visibility, but behind is the man that won at Silverstone, Marius Solberg Hansen. He's the man doing the chasing, and then in turn he is taking with him Luke Constantine. Luke was the winner last time out at Pembrey, so you've got 2 winners up behind relative newcomer Patrick O'Donovan. They bounce their way across the loose here. Down they go towards that right-hander that will take them then through Clairvaux Corner. Down a gear goes O'Donovan. He's sideways, but he hangs on to the sliders even more sideways. Solberg Hansen and Constantine. Ben Sayer there is in 4th place, trying to close. Through the right-hander they come now. Wipers on for Marius Solberg Hansen in 2nd spot. Tom Constantine, the man that was badly delayed at the start, leads the championship, and there, delayed coming out of the chicane, Marius Solberg Hansen went wide, found all that boggy earth on the outside that just sucked the momentum out of the car. It means now that Luke Constantine is up into 2nd place, chasing after O'Donovan. Down to the hairpin, Marius Solberg Hansen under attack now, though. That's from Ben Sayer, who has got progressively better and better. As out wide goes O'Donovan, up alongside him Luke Constantine, through he goes into the lead of the race. Across the loose section, O'Donovan down a place, but still showing good speed. The road is getting drier, the road is getting faster. This, O'Donovan's view, as he turns now into Clairvaux. Out of that right-hander, up towards Hawthorne now. Some great battles going on lower down. Ben Sayer is all sideways there as he tries to fend off Christiane Havat-Heng. But Marius Solberg Hansen goes into the chicane, and ahead is a rather sideways Luke Constantine leading the race. Now, is that going to scrub off speed? Yes, it is! O'Donovan comes back at him and reasserts himself and goes back through. There's a rub between the 2 of them. Everybody remembering the same identical kind of Suzuki Swift. And up the inside now comes Solberg Hansen with his elbows out. There's damage on the back of Constantine's car. He was the leader. He is now 3rd as they come through the hairpin. Up on the inside goes into the lead Marius Solberg Hansen. And for 2nd place, it is still O'Donovan versus Luke Constantine. They are tied together as they come over the line. Skipping over the loose surface, here they come. This is O'Donovan's view. He is back up into 2nd place now. Goes down a gear, turns through the corner, the car constantly wanting to slide. There in 4th place, look, is Ben Sayer, who is getting quicker and quicker all the while. Through they turn, Ben Sayer inching up onto the tail of the leaders. His quest to gain places helped in part by them tripping over themselves on occasions. So, Marius Solberg Hansen, the winner at Silverstone, leads here. This is O'Donovan's view. Bouncing his way across the loose. You can see him hard at work, and he's actually closing on the leader once again, and he is just starting to edge away ever so slightly from Luke Constantine, except that Constantine brakes much later, coming down to the hairpin. Over the loose they bounce. Many on this grid, 2nd generation racers, with parents still competing within the British Rallycross Championship classes. Patrick O'Donovan, one of them, comes now down towards that right at Clairvaux. And a very sideways Luke Constantine loses it, round he goes. Heading for the barrier, and he just misses them, but that will cost him places. Ben Sayer up into 3rd, and now Christiane Havat-Heng up into 4th place. So big drama here for the Constantine family. They arrived 1 and 2 in the championship. It could well be a rather different story leaving Croft. Patrick O'Donovan still pushing, still chasing Maria Solberg Hansen. They come down to the hairpin, but it looks as though Solberg Hansen is on target for a second win of the season here. The Norwegian driver turns out of the hairpin. It's still very close indeed behind him, but he's looking good up front. Heading then up towards the line. Maria Solberg Hansen will win here at Croft. Over the line he helps. Maria Solberg Hansen wins at Croft in the MSA Junior Rallycross Championship. Patrick O'Donovan second from Ben Sayer, with Christiana Havard Engier fourth, then Luke Constantine and Morgan Root in sixth. So what does that do in the championship? We've got a new leader, and it is Marius Solberg Hansen up ahead of the Constantines, with Ben Sayer fourth and Morgan Root now in fifth.
Marius, your second win, but really difficult conditions for everybody. It was very wet, but you drove well to win in the final.
Yeah, it was very, very hard.
You fought really hard for the victory, but a mature drive to finish second.
Yeah, it was really good. It was quite slippery out on the track. It was like driving on ice, but once I got out there, it kind of dried up towards the end of the day, and it was really good.
Feels great. It was hard today though with the weather, but feels good to get another third. Better if I got a second.
The MSA Super National and Super 1600s are on the grid. Tristan Ovenden is on pole position. Paige Bellaby, middle of the front row, then Darren Scott ahead of Paul Coney and Slavomir Volok. Then will be Craig Lomax. Jack Thorne is missing. Phil Chicken is there, and so Kurt Twyman is in as a reserve. We wait for the lights to blink green. Who will get the best start as we go racing? A good getaway by Paige Bellaby, but then as the road has become drier, so the power of the Clio kicks in, and Tristan Ovenden uses all of that grunt and go. It stretches its legs, and the Renault leads at Clairvaux. Slavomir Volok sideways round the outside for third. He's off the road. Is he going to get back on again? Well, he does. He's on the outside of Darren Scott, though. Paul Coney is fifth. Volok's ultra smart Ford Fiesta heading to the chicane, but losing out. Paul Coney goes through. Remember, Darren Scott versus Paul Coney for Super 1600 honours in this race. Over the loose they come. Tristan Ovenden leading Paige Bellaby, who had a sizable off in Q2. Across the loose surface for the first time of asking. There is Slavomir Volok now after that wild old ride at Clairvaux on the opening lap. He's going to try and fight back here, but Paige Bellaby comes under attack from Darren Scott. The Lotus hopping its way across the loose, the Super 1600s towering over the top of the low-line British sports car. Onto the tarmac they come, but already 2 seconds to the good is Tristan Ovenden. He is blasting clear. Bellaby on the limit, off the road. So is Scott, so is Coney. Everybody else behind doing likewise because they measure their pace against the cars in front. So one gets it wrong, it's a chain reaction. All of them running wide and off the road there. Paige Bellaby it is, who has kept second place. Scott and Coney behind. Out of the chicane, over the loose surface once more. So there, look, it is Tristan Ovenden way clear, and he's being helped really in his task now, isn't he, by this great battle going on behind Coney around the outside of Scott, but there's contact. Coney gets damage, he also gets fired onto the grass on the inside, but he does claim the place. That Vauxhall Corsa, normally immaculate. Now it needs a little bit of TLC, needs a Corsa tablets possibly as it comes across the loose. But Paul Coney is up into third, but significantly leads in Super 1600. Darren Scott behind him. Then it's Craig Lomax. Yellow flag being waved there. Look, coming out of Clairvaux. Somebody has had a drama. Darren Scott with damage on the front of his car. Now struggling a little bit for visibility. Coney, having been released, is right onto the back, though. Paige Bellaby doing a great job here. Tristan Ovenden still well clear up front. Cars make their way across the loose surface once again. The Super National and Super 1600 combination has consistently given great racing all season. Here is Paul Coney. He brakes hard and he comes down now towards the hairpin. Kurt Twyman got into this race as a reserve. And there with damage is Phil Chicken, and not only is the bodywork peeling back, but there's also some smoke, which I fear is mechanical. It's more than just bodywork against a tyre, that by the look of it. So Phil Chicken looks as though he's going to be a retirement. The Mike Boat prepared Citroën limping home. Paige Bellaby then still fending off Paul Coney, but Tristan Ovenden is well clear up front, looking good. Through they turn across the loose, heading towards the end of the lap. And Tristan Ovenden, who really has been the man to beat in Super Nationals this year, is heading for his 4th outright victory. There is Darren Scott still chasing on behind. He breaks for the hairpin. His task really is to get past Paul Coney. That's his target. A lap to run for Tristan Ovenden. It is looking good for him for another win. He was the champion last year, and the ex-Jamie Bird Clio V6 up front here. There, look, Paige Bellaby out of Clairvaux. Paul Coney heading the Super 1600 battle ahead of Darren Scott. Having got past him, he's been able to make good his escape. Bellaby through. There is Coney, and very wide indeed goes Darren Scott, but track conditions much better. The circuit much faster now that it's become much drier compared to what we had at the start of the day. Then everybody was struggling with the spray, with the amount of water and the amount of mud, but now it is a much drier surface on which they are racing. Not bone dry, but a lot better. The leader is Tristan Ovenden. He's about to become a winner. Up towards the checkered flag, Tristan Ovenden in the Clio is going to win here at Croft. Who is going to be second then? It is Paige Bellaby behind. Third will go the way of Paul Coney. Tristan Ovenden has done it again. Tristan Ovenden wins at Croft, 5 seconds clear of Paige Bellaby. Paul Coney third from Darren Scott, Craig Lomax fifth, and Kurt Twyman is sixth. So what about the championships? Well, Tristan Ovenden ahead of Paige Bellaby now. She is up to second ahead of Paul Coney, and then it's Craig Lomax, with Lomax leading in Super 1600. Paul Coney just 1 point adrift.
Tristan, a tough day for everybody, but driving a high-powered mid-engine rear-wheel drive car is a real challenge in these conditions, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. It's been really tough today, and I haven't been quickest all through the heats, really. I managed to keep myself in front by getting good starts and then holding on around the rest of the lap. But it's actually seemed to make a bit of progress with the setup. The car actually got better and better.
Paige, a fantastic result for you in your own car here at your home circuit. A really big accident at the start of Q2. Amazing to be on the podium after that.
Yeah, absolutely. The car started aquaplaning at the beginning of Q2, so I think we were quite lucky with the outcome. I managed to get the handbrake on and set it in sideways to reduce the speed into the barriers, but we managed to rerun and had a steady run after, just being cautious, and yeah, really happy to win the semi-final, front row for the final, and really chuffed with the overall result. I'm still getting used to the car with the new engine, and you know, being back in the Lotus, it's different, it all being naturally aspirated power now for me. But I think we got the right set for the final, and yeah, held it out.
Really challenging conditions, difficult with a low-powered front-wheel drive car, but a fantastic result in the final.
Yeah, we're chuffed to bits really. We had a bit of a fraught day to start with, and didn't really, if I'm honest, anticipate anything on the cards, especially winning, which we're over the moon with. Tightened up the championship, so I think we're 1 point behind Craig, with everything to play for at Lyddon.
Some great racing from the Super Nationals here at Croft. The Toyo Tyres MSA British Rallycross Championship final is coming up. All day long, the supercars have given action, and they've had some very challenging conditions to cope with, including heavy rain and a soaking wet surface right at the start of the day, where Julian Godfrey was the man to beat, taking the top time in the rebuilt Mitsubishi Mirage. Mark Higgins has also had a fairly challenging day. He had a good battle with Kevin Proctor in the first race. Proctor was able to find a way past him, but in the second, Higgins had a stone that flicked the wiper blade around, and so visibility was limited. Roger Thomas has had some hard battles all day long with Liam Manning, the Ford and the Subaru, getting themselves together on more than one occasion. Andy Grant, though, had dramas in the second run with his Ford, whereas Kevin Proctor charged away to score a top time in the third qualifying heat. This was the one in which Mark Higgins could barely see a thing. He limped home. Let's see what he can do in the final. But local hero Kevin Proctor has looked strong all day. Proctor, Godfrey, Proctor, the three orders of how the top times have been decided. The final then is coming up. Kevin Proctor tops the points, Julian Godfrey, Mark Higgins and Steve Hill. But we've had some excellent racing all day long. The final is good to go. It is going to be Kevin Proctor on pole position, Julian Godfrey with him at the front, and then Mark Higgins alongside. Steve Hill is on row 2 with Ollie O'Donovan for company. Liam Manning's on row 3, Steve Mundy, and then Roger Thomas will complete the grid. Bit of creeping from Julian Godfrey as we go racing. The cars accelerate away. Good start by Mark Higgins, but not as good as those around him. Steve Hill's view down towards Clairvaux. The road is drier, the road is faster than it was at the start of the day, but Godfrey leads the way as Proctor, after also a fairly pox start, elbows Mark Higgins aside, and Ollie O'Donovan will go back through on the inside of Higgins, who is in real strife on the outside line, losing place after place there. Roger Thomas goes into the chicane, but Julian Godfrey leads the pack, and he certainly wants a win here to avenge what happened in May when the car cartwheeled to a seeming destructive end. He leads ahead of Kevin Proctor. Ollie O'Donovan, the championship leader, is third. Then it's Steve Hill, and behind him, look, Mark Higgins. O'Donovan out of the hairpin. Steve Hill's got a problem, has he? He's slow, but he gets going now, and others seem to bog down, including Roger Thomas. You carry all that speed into the hairpin, but then, if you're slow the other side, you lose momentum badly, and Liam Manning gaining a place. Proctor off wide at Clairvaux, through the gravel and back on again. He is trying very hard indeed, maybe too hard, because Julian Godfrey is still clear up front. Ollie O'Donovan now coming into the chicane. He, remember, is the man that leads the championship, and Roger Thomas has got a problem. He has slowed right down. O'Donovan, championship leader, losing out relative to Julian Godfrey. He's ahead of Mark Higgins, but if he hangs on to a race win here, this is going to set Julian Godfrey up very nicely indeed, no question about it. Through they come, across the loose. Proctor chasing on. Is the gap coming down a little? In a straight line here, Proctor always displays good bravery. Down towards Clairvaux. Julian Godfrey, 5 times a champion, leads the way. Proctor clips the marker tyres on the inside. O'Donovan understeers out wide. Roger Thomas limps to retirement. Proctor is starting to close on Godfrey. He's also just dropping O'Donovan. Look as they come into the chicane once again. Through the right, through the left. Proctor sideways though as he hits the loose and hits that bump. Car briefly airborne. O'Donovan trying to salvage points out of this race, but he hasn't got the pace of the leaders. There is Liam Manning. The Subaru, one of the older cars on the grid, being run on a limited budget but going nicely. And Mark Higgins, having been forced out wide early on, is trying to play catch up here. Mark Higgins had that slightly controversial coming together, of course, here with Ollie O'Donovan on the first visit to Croft. O'Donovan hung on to win. It was at Lyddon where Mark Higgins was a winner, and he's chasing after his nemesis O'Donovan now, both in the race and in the championship. Proctor up through Hawthorne. The gap's coming down. Making their way over the loose surface, there is Steve Hill. Mechanical dramas scuppered his pace earlier on in the day. Here though, working his way onto the loose, but again he's just not being able to run with the race leaders. Down towards the hairpin, Proctor is on the tail of Godfrey, but he arrives so rapidly he has to stand on the brakes and almost loses the lot here. Across the loose they come. He's up the banking, he's up the curb, he's sideways. Proctor is throwing everything at this. The danger is he might be overdriving. Julian Godfrey it is, leading the pack here. Again, Proctor is wide, off the road as they come now, look through Clairvaux. Proctor to the chicane. Gap is down and the rain is starting to fall. Conditions are worsening late in the day, and that's O'Donovan off the road. O'Donovan has got a problem. Is that the right front corner that's gone? No, is that a puncture or suspension? It's a breakage. Suspension breakage for Ollie O'Donovan in the wet. Steve Hill goes through. Mark Higgins should go through as well. So places are changing late in the race, and Ollie O'Donovan, the championship leader after those 3 wins on the bounce, all of a sudden has got big dramas. Higgins has gone through, you can see him there. And Ollie O'Donovan is trying to limp home, but if the wheel parts company, he might not have a say in it. There's a lap to go, and getting away now, look, is Julian Godfrey. Kevin Proctor dropping away a little bit in second place. But now as the weather conditions worsen, it could be that survival is key rather than outright pace. Up to the chicane comes Higgins now, pressing on well. So Ollie O'Donovan's dramas have helped Mark Higgins to gain and more points. He's sideways out of the chicane. Checkered flag at the ready, and the weather conditions are going to be, at the end of the day, as they were at the start, treacherous. Marshals have done a great job standing out in it all day. Julian Godfrey, however, looks like he is going to master the conditions. He's on his way up towards the line, up towards the checkered flag, and Julian Godfrey wins at Croft. Kevin Proctor will take second, and third should go the way of a sideways Mark Higgins, but all of this is going to have a really significant effect in the championship. Ollie O'Donovan is still limping round. He will still take points. Into the hairpin he comes and spins, round he goes. O'Donovan with the front right wheel barely doing anything, limps to the line. That's the benefit of four-wheel drive for you. And the wheel almost off the car as Ollie O'Donovan limps home at Croft. It's a race win for Julian Godfrey, his first proper victory of the season ahead of Kevin Proctor and Mark Higgins. Steve Hill fourth ahead of Liam Manning, and then Ollie O'Donovan.
Julian second on the grid for the final, but a good start, neck and neck with Mark into the first corner, took the lead, and that really was the place to be for this wet and muddy final.
That's right, yeah. No, I made a superb start again in the final. Got it just right with the RPM and got good traction off the line and pulled a few car lengths into the first corner. So I took it quite steady in the first corner because I had quite a good lead down to the first corner.
And your first outright win in the Mirage, you took maximum points at Silverstone, but that was behind the World Championship regular, so it's a nice across the line first.
It is, yeah, especially after the last visit here where it ended up in the box. So, no, quite happy now. It's going there. We've done some more changes to the suspension since Pembrey, and the car's feeling better and better all the time.
The pole position for the final must have been pretty satisfying, and a good drive to finish second in really difficult conditions.
Yeah, no, I was pleased with the result, but I made a small mistake at the start. I didn't have it in gear when the lights were ready to go, so I didn't get a very good start. But no, I'm very pleased with the result, and just, you know, well done to Julian and everybody that finished.
I know when things are going well for you, you're super keen for more. Can we expect to see you at the next round at Lyddon Hill?
Well, yeah, I think I'll be at Lyddon. That obviously Matilda, my daughter, she's racing in the Junior Swift, so I'll be going there with her anyway. I might as well take the car. So yeah, I'll most probably be there.
Really, really difficult day for everyone here. The conditions were atrocious, and they got atrocious halfway through the final as well. So a satisfying podium, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's points in the bag, but as I said before, we needed some wins here. We got a good start and then got a hit going into the first corner, which put us wide, and then we dropped sort of 4 or 5 places, so we were nearly in last. So to recover back to third was okay. The championship's really tight at the front, but yeah, we've got to get some top scores on the podium now to really help our championship. But it's great for everybody that is so close, and you know, we're back to Lyddon next, and that'll be interesting.
You won there last time out. Can you expect more of the same next time?
Yeah, we just got to get some wins somewhere. So yeah, this was a really tricky one, but even before the start it was wet, is it dry, and we never really saw that rain coming halfway through it. You know, another couple of laps of that and that would have been really tricky because we all took slicks. So yeah, made it interesting.
Problems all day with electrical issues in the qualifying races, missed Q3 altogether. Great start in the final, but a suspension problem cost you a chance of a podium.
It did, Hal. I mean, the game plan has been stay on the podium all weekend. It wasn't our day. We were unlucky with the electrical problem, and I think the suspension was a bit of driver error on a curb over here. We kept going, and I was conscious if I try and keep going not to lose the last 2 points, but I got overtaken, I think, with half a lap to go by the last car in the race. So it was disappointing to lose our lead, but you know, I think we're joint second at the moment, so when you take in drop scores, we're still thereabouts. So it just makes it a bit tighter for the next 3 rounds.
It most certainly does. Julian Godfrey becomes the new championship leader. Ollie O'Donovan slips to second, equal with Mark Higgins. Steve Hill is fourth. And so, there is Silverstone at the end of the season. There is Pembrey still to come, but the next stop for the championship is Lyddon, where it was all action last time out.